distinguished guests, let me start my own way. There was a time that a star fell from the sky on a tiny and humble island in the middle of the Aegean. It was a cold day in March 1898, and the island was Carpathos, which still was ruled by the Ottomans. The star fell for the second time on Earth 42 years later, this time to save the world from the Nazis. My story is about Alexander Georgiades, Martin his middle name, the son of the teacher and judge and the grandson of the Orthodox priest of his village, Othos. Aleko for his family was a child that he loved to learn. Since he was a little boy, his sight reached far beyond the horizon of his homeland. When he was 14, the Dodecanese Islands passed from the hands of the Ottomans to the brutal rule of the Italians. That same year, the young boy, Aleko Georgiades, left Carpathos. Immigrant first to Athens in order to finish high school, and later to the US in 1916, he studied electrical engineering at the Carnegie Institute. 2 years after he was naturalized as an US citizen in 1940, he was recruited by the first American intelligence service, the OSS. After several months of hard military training, Georgiades, under the cover of a staff member of the Greek consulate in Edirne, Turkey, and a special passport issued by the Greek diplomatic mission in Cairo, operated as a secret intelligence officer in Egypt, Turkey, Bulgaria, and Greece, preparing the groundwork for acts of sabotage against Axis in the framework of an Allied operation codenamed Noah's Ark. Without his ingenuity and daring, defying the fear and danger to which his life was exposed in a series of dangerous missions to advanced enemy positions, the Allies would not have managed to sever the Axis supply lines of raw materials crossing the occupied Greece by train from Turkey to Berlin, and hence the war would have gone on. During the war, he was awarded with the Legion of Merit for uncovering Dogwood, a large spy ring operating against Allied interests in Turkey, and his instrumental role in the capture of certain Bulgarian agents in possession of valuable documents. He was discharged from the army with the rank of captain and was awarded with the Bronze Star and the Purple Heart of the American Army for his courageous service and meritorious conduct. A member of AHEPA, since its foundation, upon his return to America, he continued to help starving people in Greece through several relief organizations, strengthening the bonds among the two peoples, Greeks and Americans. Even though Georgiades followed faithfully the American government's orders and cooperated with the National Liberation Front in Greece, he was later accused, denounced as communist, and experienced harsh ordeals of McCarthyism. For reasons such as this, he remained in obscurity for decades. He died in 1976 in Pittsburgh. He is survived by his children, a daughter and two sons. The elder Peter is with us today. For those who have not met him, it is enough to know him through his scarce writings. In one of his personal notes that he wrote 2 years before he died, one reads, to questions of whether I regret my actions, and if after all that I went through, I would again do things required of me by duty, my response is one and only: I would do exactly what my grandfathers and my father taught me. There is no love greater nor purer than the love one feels for one's homeland. And I was blessed by God to have two homelands, and I love them, both of them, equally. First, the homeland that brought me to life, and second, the homeland that breathed me new life into me, Greece and America. Today, we honor that great man and patriot. May his star shine forever, up in heavens and on earth. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen and distinguished guests, this is a very emotional day for me and for my family. First, I want to thank Andrew and Michael Manitos and all the officials of the Oki Foundation for making it possible for my wife and I to be here today to accept this honor on behalf of my late father. It means a great deal not only to my immediate family, but to my extended family, my many cousins, some of whom are here today. They all knew Theo Aleko and what he had done, and they all wanted him to be recognized for that. And today he is. My father, on the other hand, was very conflicted about recognition or publicity. From the beginning, when the War Department sent him his commendations and his medals, they remained at the post office. He wouldn't go pick them up. My mother took care of that. But till the day he died, he was very reticent to talk about what he did over there. And he never spoke about it in public. It wasn't that he was ungrateful or unduly modest. It's that he wanted to forget. He was also very wary of the politics. As Ms. Tomai just told you, he suffered because of the politics that surrounded the action in Greece during the war and immediately thereafter. Those politics followed him to his grave. And it outraged him to see the sacrifices of the Greek people with whom he fought for 2 years, dishonored with propaganda and people trying to use their sacrifice for their own ends. My father saw those people fight and he fought with them. And he always told us, his children, that there was nothing glorious about it. He told us it was terrible. My father loved people, and he particularly loved the Greek people, his people. He would have done anything in his power to protect them and to help them, even if it meant bending the rules. For example, there was a cholera outbreak in a village called Sofia in Evros. And my father became aware that there was a source of medicine in Turkey, but it took money. So he took some of the silver bullion that the OSS had given him for the purpose of bribing German officers. He threw it in a Jeep, he drove to Turkey, and he got the medication. And then he drove back. That was against his orders. More than that, it was dangerous. He got shot at going and coming. But he was determined that those vaccines would save Greek lives, and he knew it was the right thing to do. So he did what he had to do, orders notwithstanding. That's kind of a Greek thing. He told, and the Greeks protected him. They didn't even know his name. All they knew was Alekos Amerikanos, Alex the American. And he told me many times with pride that he was sure that he could go anywhere in all the mountains that he operated in and all the islands he visited, much of the time wearing an American uniform, and he knew no Greek would betray him. And today that sounds foolish, but it was completely true. As far as I know, no Greek ever betrayed any OSS officer in all of Greece. And this is not ancient history to me. When I was 15 years old, I was living in Greece with my father and my family, and a man came over to the house to visit, and they spoke all afternoon, blah, 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 blah. Well, they spoke in Greek, and I don't speak Greek, so I don't know what they said. But the man's face was badly disfigured. He had scars from the corners of his mouth to his ears and his jawline, and it was pretty bad. When he left, I was a curious child. I asked my father, what happened to his face? All he would say was, the Germans did that. He wouldn't tell them where I was. I don't know what it would be like to have that kind of a debt. And what that man proved was that small countries don't produce small people. It was ironic then, when my father returned to the United States after his service, and he tried to resume his life as a civilian, individuals of Greek extraction anonymously reported him to the FBI as being a communist agent. That was a lie. And it was ridiculous. But at that time, there was so much fear that all somebody had to do was point the finger and the investigations would start. He was investigated from 1952 to 1964, 12 years. And that's a story in itself. In the end, he was cleared of any wrongdoing, completely exonerated. But it was too late. He had paid a second price for his service, and this time my mother had paid as well. But that's not the end of the story, thank God. Today, now, you good people are setting the record straight. You're recognizing him for the patriotic American and loyal Greek that he was, and a member of that greatest generation that moved heaven and earth. My father thanks you. My family thanks you. Thank you.